Hey guys, Ben here and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be talking about the return of a DC TV show that hasn't been on in a while. Plus also we got some other articles to break down to do with the Crisis movie and the influence from the Arrowverse crisis. So if you do go on to enjoy the video, please be sure to leave a like and a comment and subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss any future DC TV videos later this year. Okay, I just want to remind you guys we're still running the raffle. Full details in the description below, but shout out to everyone that has supported and taken part in the raffle so far. We got quite a lot of you guys involved. So if you want to support the channel and be in for the chance of winning a £50 roughly DC mystery box, follow the details in the description below. Okay, so in today's video we got 3 separate topics to talk about. They're all somewhat related in a way that it's all from my good friend Andy, who is a regular on the channel. He appears in most live streams that I do, and so he's actually a writer at Screen Rant, and he's got 3 exclusives that we're going to break down in this video. So shout out to Andy. Going to leave all his links in the description below so you can follow his Twitter, follow his sites that he has, and everything like that, because he is my good friend and you guys should definitely follow him because this is all his work that we're breaking down. So we're going to be breaking these down one by one. First things first, let's talk about this article. The title is Young Justice Season 5 Gets Hopeful Update from Superboy Actor. Okay, so this is an exclusive coming from Screen Rant and Andy, and basically he had an interview with Nolan North, who is one of the voice actors who has appeared in Young Justice, and he confirms that Young Justice has not been cancelled. It isn't ending or anything, it's just that they haven't been picked up for season 5 as of right now. But basically he was out promoting Justice League Crisis on Infinite Earths Part 1. Like the other 2 articles, they're all kind of linked in together to do a Crisis. But basically he's got a good quote here from Nolan North to do with Young Justice, which is a DC TV show that honestly guys, I'm a big fan. Like, it was the first proper DC show to get me into DC all those years ago, like literally 2015 time. I would say that's when I watched Young Justice, and I was just totally addicted to the show, and that led me to finding all the other DC TV shows like The Flash, I believe in season 2, and also of course Arrow, and then later the other shows came after that. So I've got a big place in my heart for Young Justice, so that's why I'm excited to break this bit down, because we could see the return of Young Justice for season 5, just like it returned all those years ago. Okay, so Nolan said, well, we have Warner Brothers people on Zoom right now. I'm telling you guys, we can do this. We can make another season. I don't know. I'm not privy to that. I know it's a hit, and I know fans want it desperately. I don't know. I wish I did. And we were so fortunate to get to do the first 2 seasons, and 3 and 4, as you know. If you saw season 4, Superboy had a big storyline in it that was so much fun. I love Greg Weisman and Brandon Vietti. We have just so much fun. They're so passionate about their stories, so fingers crossed that something gets done, maybe in the future. I don't think there's plans right now, but we always say we're not cancelled, we just haven't been picked up yet. That's how I always feel about this show, so nobody's ever definitively said there will no longer be any more Young Justice. Now, if tomorrow they put an article out there, it's our fault, you understand that, right? So there you go, that is what Nolan North had to say about the status of Young Justice Season 5. So nothing is in development right now in terms of Season 5, he confirms that there. But he also confirms that it's not cancelled, it just hasn't been picked up. It's kind of in this weird situation where, you know, nothing's been announced, but nothing's being worked on at the same time, but they could totally go back to it at any point if they get the go-ahead from like James Gunn and DC Studios. I think they really should greenlight this season 5. Even if they make it the final season, you got to have a definitive end. And I think, especially based on the history of Young Justice being first aired in 2010, all those years ago, then you had season 2, which was in 2012, and then you had a 7-year gap where you thought, okay, Young Justice is over. And then they returned with Outsiders, then they did season 4 after that, they did Phantom. So between 2019, 2021 and 2022, there was Young Justice. But now we're back in that situation where we're kind of in that middle gap. maybe it just took too long, maybe it was too expensive, and all the regime changes at Warner Brothers definitely didn't help this situation. But it's been since March 2021 when the last half of season 4 actually aired, since we last got it. So it's been a while now, guys. Like, in March, it would have been 2 years since the last season actually started with that final part of the season, because they split it in two. So it's been a while, and we really should get going with this. I wonder why there is no priority at all to this. I get it that it's not involved with the DCU, but I think it also wasn't being developed before James Gunn came in, so I wouldn't really blame them, although James Gunn has been in charge for a year, so I guess they stopped developing and they took a year break after season 4, and then maybe they got told, okay, don't do anything now, we'll have a think about it and we can come back to it, it's not cancelled. But that's kind of where they're at, and I think they're in this just kind of limbo stage where they just don't know. And especially because when the show actually came back, it came back on DC Universe for season 1, then DC Universe was folded, then it moved to HBO Max, and now Max is kind of getting this whole rebrand, or they already had the Max rebrand, it's not HBO Max anymore, and you know, DC has got this big rehaul as well. So I think it's just they're unlucky with the circumstances, like nothing is aligning for them. Obviously the original show was aired on Cartoon Network, they didn't renew it for a 3rd season, but eventually there was enough fan cry to actually get the show back on the air and actually making new episodes. We had 26 episodes in both season 3 and 4 in 2019 to 2022. So that's kind of what's going on. What do you think about Nolan North's comments? I think it makes sense. Like, I understand that it's in this kind of limbo stage and it's good to get an update on it. So I wouldn't say it's like too positive or it's not too negative, because there's no cancellation in sight for the show unless they decide, okay, enough's enough. But I think they should end the show at least with like 10 episodes. But let's move on to Andy's next article on Screen Rant. This is all to do with the Crisis on Infinite Earths movie and how it was planned even before the Arrowverse. So let's go with this. The interview that he did was with Butch Lukic and Jim Krieg, 2 people that worked on the new film, and obviously there's the 3 parts of the Crisis film, which we all should definitely watch, and maybe I'll do some content on the 2nd part when it comes out. But basically he said, we didn't at the time, we were already figuring out what we were going to do Crisis even before they were filming anything on their Crisis, referring to the Arrowverse Crisis. So, you know, that confirms they've been working on the animated films for a long time. Obviously 3 films, 3 parts is a big deal, and animation they always plan way in advance. He says that I didn't look at anything. I know Jim probably didn't watch anything on that to influence him. We just went more on the basis of the George Perez and Marv Wolfman version. We stuck with that pretty much visually and story-wise. So that's the graphic novel, that is the whole Crisis series in the comics that they've stuck to. So it's pretty comic book accurate as far as they're saying. If we were going to do television with 13 episodes of this, we might go that way more, because you could do more characterization, but because we had to be linear with 3 films, you had to pick and choose where you needed to go with this. And then Jim said, my friend Eric Caruso, who has written for us before, had gotten the job on Supergirl, and he contacted me and said, you know, they're doing Crisis, because he already knew we were building up our Crisis world. And he said, and there's an element of, oh yay, because part of it takes so long to do animation that we announced Crisis a couple years after they've done it in the live action, and they go, oh, I can't believe they're doing Crisis again. And you're like, we didn't know that they were doing Crisis, so we did avoid looking at it because we didn't want to do the same thing. We didn't want to make the mistake of just doing something completely different so that it stands out. We just follow the book and the themes as closely as possible. And so one of them said, if there are any things similar in the Arrowverse version, it's mainly because they're following the same source material anyway. So that is their answer in regards to what's going on. Butch is actually the executive producer of the films, and Jim is the producer of the film. And so, yeah, comparing to the Arrowverse, they say and claim they didn't watch it. Again, all filmmakers will never admit that they watched the prior version. Some people are like, yes, I made this Batman film, but I avoided Batman films for my whole life so I can make this project properly. And you're like, yeah, sure, I believe you. So I don't know, we'll see about this, but I kind of believe them. You know, if they were working on it at the same time, it's fair enough that they don't want to get too influenced. But I think it's nice to hear, you know, that there was these two projects going on at the same time, and this Crisis film, this 3-part series, I guess you could call it, even though it's in film form, it was planned before, and it's not just like a copy of the Arrowverse, even though I would love them to take some inspiration from the Arrowverse, which would be nice. But let's talk more about the Arrowverse, because this is how the Arrowverse's best show influenced DC's new Crisis on Infinite Earths movie. And again, this is from Andy on Screen Rant talking to producer Jim Krieg. He said in response to one of Andy's questions to do with the Arrowverse and to do with the Flash in Crisis on Infinite Earths, the movie, he said, "That's nice to hear. That's what popped most in the Flash TV series to me, is that relationship." He's talking about Barry and Iris here. He's talking about Wes Allen. And he says, "And it's certainly what we wanted to lean into for the Flash in this, because it's a beautiful love story and not all heroes get that. There's some serious stuff to it, but it's kind of a joyful respite in a world of action and violence." So that is a big shout out to Wes Allen. Obviously, the producer of the Crisis film was a fan of The Flash, which is the reason I find it a bit hard to believe that he just skipped Crisis, because Crisis was the biggest thing. If you watched any Arrowverse show, surely you wanted to watch Crisis, but fair enough if that's what he did for his own like integrity of making his own version of Crisis. But yeah, so that's a really nice comment. You can see the influence of the Flash TV show and Wes Allen in how they formed the relationship between Barry and Iris in Crisis. So you're going to see some more of that, I'm pretty sure. As I said before, I haven't actually watched the film yet, but I'm planning to do it very soon. But that pretty much does it for this video, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please be sure to leave a like and a comment, and subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss any videos. We upload pretty much daily right now. Also, we do live streams every Thursday at 10:30 p.m. UK time, which is roughly 5:30 p.m. Eastern time in America. Translate that to wherever you guys are around the world. And so for now, thank you for watching. Click on the top right corner of the screen to watch my latest video, and I'll catch you guys later. Goodbye.
I see red.